Hello, divine mandate. Not everyone who goes missing is lost. Some people go away because they are becoming a better version of themselves that the world isn't ready for yet. Listen up now. People need to know what happened to you before they can figure out what you are. The fact is simple. You didn't go alone out of pride, ego, or drama. You did it alone because life put you in a position where you had to either break or break through, and the cosmos didn't care that you chose the second choice. This is the crazy part. Psychologists suggest that when someone chooses to be alone for a long time, their brain really rewires itself. New cerebral connections grow, old ideas go away, and a clearer sense of self-awareness comes to light. Most individuals break down around such time. But you adjusted to it as if you were made for it. As if being alone wasn't punishment, but preparation. That's why people are looking at you now with a strange combination of dread, curiosity, and bewilderment. They can't explain you anymore. They can't put a label on you. They can't put you in a box. The cosmos even had to throw away its previous plan and build a new one to keep up with the person you were when you went out on your own. You evolved in ways that make other people uncomfortable because you developed in ways they didn't anticipate. You didn't come back with a kinder personality. You came back with a new energy, a new way of thinking, and a new rhythm that doesn't fit with where you came from. It's as if life has welcomed you to the rear of your own destiny, and now you go around with knowledge that no one else has. And sure, let's be honest, your glow is so powerful that it seems like something is wrong. The type of radiance that makes people wonder whether you're really human. The kind that makes them look at your life like they're FBI agents. The sort that makes your calm seem like a superpower, and your stillness seem like a language that only the cosmos can understand. You didn't get crowned because you went alone. You become a king or queen because of who you were while you were alone. So, what are you? Let's take it apart. You're going to find out precisely why being alone didn't destroy you. It made you stronger. First, you stopped begging for a seat, so life made you your own table. A lot of individuals spend their whole life asking for permission. They want permission to talk, permission to be seen, and permission to live at a level they believe they deserve. They go around other people's tables, wanting to be seen, welcomed, and eventually recognized for how valuable they are. But you stopped playing that game. You stopped making yourself smaller so you could feed into places that weren't meant for you. You stopped asking for permission from those who would never understand your vision, your timing, or your goals. It wasn't a getaway when you went alone. It was a full-on statement that you were done changing your life to meet someone else's needs. The universe has to reply because of it. It knew that the old rules didn't work anymore. You weren't asking anymore. So life began to build an environment that featured energy, your expectations, and your speed. Your table wasn't merely made. It was carefully crafted exactly for you. Because the world couldn't handle the power you became when you were alone. And here's what most people don't get. Being alone doesn't simply make you independent. It also gives you power. You don't get authority. It comes about on its own. When you stop trying to feed in with what everyone else thinks is successful, the world treats you differently. When you stop looking for approval, doors that were locked begin to unlock. People who used to ignore you now pay attention to you. And it's not because you were loud. You did this on yourself. Instead of being the shadow, you became the source. There is a sort of strength in not settling and not waiting for an invitation that will never come. At first, it's very subtle, almost undetectable. But those who can keep up start to notice that they've been left behind. That's the purpose. However, the table that life made for you isn't simply for eating. It's for supremacy in a manner that many didn't see coming. You didn't simply take up space. You changed it. You become a person who doesn't need anybody else's help. Someone whose presence draws notice only because you are on a higher frequency. Now that you've stopped begging over and over again and refused to squeeze into areas that weren't designed for you, the universe had to crown you, and there's no going back. Second, isolation wasn't a break. It was a complete reworking of the system. Most people assume that being alone is a way to take a break, to step back and recharge or go away. You didn't do that. You had to be alone. It wasn't a break from life. It was a total change to the system. The cosmos hit the reset button on you every day you spent alone. Every hour, Every peaceful moment took away the old youth doubts, the anxieties, and the habits that held you small and left just what you needed to go on to the next level of your life. People regard you as calm, sure of yourself, and clear-headed now. They see someone who appears impenetrable, moves with precision, and doesn't waver when the world shakes, but they have no clue what was going on behind the scenes. While everyone else was busy finding things to do, you were taking apart your inner machinery and putting it back together from scratch. You got rid of beliefs that no longer helped you. We looked at, comprehended, and changed old emotional habits. You didn't simply get through the stillness, you turned it into energy. The universe doesn't reward individuals who don't work hard. It celebrates those who can stand being alone, who take the stillness seriously, and who use it as a place to develop. You didn't simply sit there by yourself. You faced every part of your intellect and every secret part of your personality. You made your resilience, attention, and vision better. People couldn't ignore you anymore, because the person who came out of isolation wasn't simply stronger. They were completely different. And here's the kicker. Most people think of progress as a straight line, like adding more to your life. Your being alone showed the contrary. True change frequently comes when you take away the things that aren't needed, get rid of the weak, and quiet the noise. That's what set you apart. While other people were looking for ways to cut corners, you let the process break you down and build you back up to a level that even the cosmos had to recognize. Being alone didn't stop your life. It changed the way it worked, reset it, and changed the way it was defined. When you came back into the world, you weren't merely a participant. The cosmos had no option but to see you and crown you. Third, you ruled a battlefield that no one knew you were fighting on. Most people assume that wars are noisy, messy, and lots of noise. That brawl is the type that everyone sees. But your conflict was different. You fought conflicts that no one saw, no one understood, and no one believed you could win. Every day you faced problems that no one praised or recognized. You were fighting your own demons, breaking bad habits, and facing anxieties that would have shattered anybody else. And you won without a sound, without a doubt, and without a doubt. This kind of fight, on the other hand, affects a person in ways that no outside triumph could. The world was busy pointing out your flaws and shortcomings, but you were changing yourself and learning how to stand your ground when life became too heavy. You weren't simply getting by. You were doing well in a place where the chances were against you. That battleground was hidden. Yet it was where the biggest change took place. And here's the truth. Winning battles that are easy to see is great. But winning wars that no one can see makes you untouchable. People can only threaten things they know about. And no one could understand the fights you had by yourself, every fear you faced, every time you doubted yourself, and every old version of yourself you left behind became armor. You went through life with knowledge and wisdom that you gained by going through things that would have broken anybody else. That's why others can sense you now. They can feel the strength, the discipline, and the winds that are concealed under the surface. The universe pays attention to stuff like these. It doesn't give the noisy or the flamboyant a crown. It crowns the people who rule without requiring an audience. And that's precisely what you did. You showed yourself at a place where no one was looking that you were unstoppable, indestructible, and unshakable. That unseen battleground became the place where you proved yourself, and the crown was the only way to show that you had won. You didn't struggle to be recognized. You fought to be the best, and mastery is the language the cosmos speaks. You created the throne you sit on today with every quiet victory you claimed. 4. You become unmovable in a world where people blow away like paper. There are a lot of individuals in the world who bend, fold, and break when things become tough. They follow every trend, listen to every opinion, and let every criticism get to them. But you didn't only fight that pole. You couldn't be shaken. You constructed a foundation that was so firm and based on your own knowledge of yourself that nothing outside of you could make you waver. You become unmovable in a world that wanted to make everyone else feel weak. It's not about being obstinate or having a big ego when you become immovable. It's about being completely sure of who you are, what you believe in, and where you're heading. When you went so low, you stopped depending on other people to help you feel better or calm your thoughts. You stopped looking for approval, comfort, or permission. You learned how to anchor yourself from the inside. So every influence that used to sway you lost its strength. That intrinsic stability was clear when you were there. People see it. They may not be able to put it into words, but they can see that you're not responding to the pandemonium around you. You're above it. Everything changes when you can't move. It makes the world change to fit you instead of you changing to fit the world. Doors that used to slam shut now take their time. Your confidence now bounces off of opinions that used to make you feel bad. Even the cosmos changes when someone won't move. You can't fake that enthusiasm, and no one can force it on you. It is made by constant self-discipline, constant honesty, and constant behavior that is in harmony with your truth. And here's the most important part: being immovable doesn't keep you from living. It makes your power stronger. People who used to try to control, influence, or persuade you now watch in silent wonder because they can't get through to you. Your inability to move makes you attractive, powerful, and unavoidable. You didn't only live in a world that wanted you to bend. You weren't being it. You became someone the universe had to know. Someone whose very existence changes the rules around them. You stand like bedrock in a world full of people who blow away like paper. Number 5. No one saw it coming. Yet your loneliness became a source of strength. People speak about loneliness as it's a bad thing that needs to be fixed or avoided. But for you, it became the place where your genuine strength grew. You didn't try to avoid being alone as everyone else did. You addressed it head on. You didn't run away from your ideas. You sat with them. You didn't run away from your wounds. You looked at them. That type of loneliness doesn't hurt a person. It breaks everything that isn't true around them. And that is precisely what happened to you. Your loneliness ceased being a scary place. It became a workshop, a training ground, and a furnace where you melted away old versions of yourself and produced something stronger. People didn't notice the quiet labor you were doing, but now they can't ignore the results. You came in empty and left with a sharper mind, a better sense of yourself, and no desire to go back to who you used to be. You learned how to control yourself while you were alone. You made your intellect stronger because you couldn't rely on anybody else to do it for you, because no one was there to comfort or affirm you. You were emotionally stable. You have to teach yourself the talent. You became clearer, since there was no background noise to get in the way of your own intuition. You learned to breathe in loneliness while others drown in it. And that's why it became your source of power. People can feel this today. They see someone who doesn't cling, plead, pursue, or fall apart when they're alone. That makes people uneasy, even bewildered. Since this amount of independence is uncommon, a lot of individuals need other people around to feel alive. You learned how to make your own energy. People don't like quiet because it shows the truth. You turned quiet into a tool, a mirror, and a teacher. And since you made loneliness your friend, you were able to avoid the things that make most people weak. You can simply go away, rebuild swiftly, detach if you need to, and stand solid without requiring praise or company. That's why the universe made you king. You learned how to handle the space that scares everyone else. You gained strength while others merely felt scared. You transformed being alone into being high. And that change transforms your whole future. Number 6. You broke the programming that had been passed down through the generations without telling anybody. Most individuals don't even know that invisible scripts passed down through generations tell them who to be, what to desire, how to live, and what success should look like. These are rules that were created long before you were born. They subtly shape choices and restrict what you can do. But you didn't just see them. You took them apart. You didn't allow someone else's old plan decide how your life would go. You did it quietly, without making a big deal out of it, and without asking anybody for permission. It's not about rebelling just to rebel when you break generational indoctrination. It's about being alert and brave. It's about seeing patterns, familial habits, society expectations, and phobias that have been passed down to you and refusing to carry them on. You didn't merely stop doing things you used to do. You changed the rules that had been silently controlling your options for decades. You became a self-directed force, not following the rules that everyone else did. That's why your life seems different today, and why others look at you and wonder how you work on a level they can't reach. And here's the truth. It's not easy to break generational conditioning. People who don't understand why you won't follow the old script, frequently push back, doubt you, and even try to undermine you in little ways, but you did well anyhow. You replaced limits that were passed down to you with standards that you set for yourself that raise you up instead of holding you down. You didn't merely break free from previous patterns. You came up with a new way to run your life that can handle stress, uncertainty, and criticism. The cosmos honors those who are brave like this. It honors people who refuse to be held back by unseen shackles and who reach their full potential without needing anybody else's approval. You proved that freedom and power often come quietly, via intentional progress rather than bombastic announcements. You become a walking revolution by breaking the programming that had been passed down from generation to generation. You aren't merely going through the motions of living. You are changing the legacy for everyone who comes after you, showing that genuine power is unseen, unstoppable, and self-created. Number 7. You become a danger just by being alone. You weren't attempting to scare anybody when you went alone, and you definitely didn't want to be viewed as a force to be reckoned with. But that's precisely what occurred. When someone is alone, they have a certain type of power, not simply alone to feel better, but alone to face, comprehend, and improve themselves. You didn't have anybody watching. You didn't get any applause. There was no one there to cheer you on. You were quiet, and in that stillness, you become sharper, stronger, and more disciplined than most people can ever conceive. When someone becomes self-sufficient, others start to notice. They begin to notice it in how you talk, how you walk, and the choices you make. People in the world are accustomed to leaning, depending, or looking for approval. You don't. Your energy became free, unstoppable, and impossible to stop. People who still require affirmation or acceptance are scared of that freedom. Your presence alone changes the way things work, challenges expectations, and breaks down old power structures. Your threat isn't very loud or scary. It's so successful because it's so subtle, nearly imperceptible. It's how you make people question what they believe they know about who can achieve, who can live, and who can do well. You didn't have to take power. You just become a live example of it. That scares anybody who needs to feel powerful by making other people weak. That type of energy even affects the cosmos. For those who have learned to control themselves without wanting attention, it speeds up chances, opens doors, and lines up resources. While others are busy attempting to be in charge, you become a quiet leader. You are the kind of person that doesn't need to compete, since your development and power changed the world around you. Being alone didn't only make you strong, it made you impossible to avoid. It made you a danger, not because you intended to be one, but because you became someone who can't be measured, controlled, or ignored. And that type of power makes people notice, whether they want to or not. 8. You didn't hunt after chances. You became one. Most individuals spend their lives running after doors that hardly open, trying to get acceptance, invites, and affirmation. They chase after opportunities, hoping that luck or time would eventually be on their side. But something amazing occurred when you went alone. You stopped pursuing completely. You stopped changing your energies to meet what the world gave you. You become the type of force that opportunities naturally go toward instead. You didn't wait for someone to notice you. You became the word. This change didn't happen all at once. You did it because you worked on your talents, improved your thinking, and raised your energy to a level that can't be ignored. While you were alone, you put more value on mastery than on visibility, content than on noise, and progress than on applause. The universe rewards those who stop asking for permission and start making themselves into their own money. Once you were that, doors didn't simply open, they seemed like they were attracted to you. You didn't need to knock. People all across the globe began knocking for you. People start to notice it around you. Even if they can't put it into words, they see someone who moves with purpose, discipline, and confidence that draws them in. That magnetic pull doesn't come from being full of yourself. You don't need other people's approval to know how valuable you are anymore. You become a walking chance, a solution that no one, not even the cosmos, can ignore. People are attracted to you because you've connected with something that is larger than what they can fathom. The beauty of this is that it completely changes the balance of power. While others fight and beg for access, you establish the bar, and now opportunities have to come to you. You were irreplaceable, not because you forced your way in, but because you made yourself so important that the world has no choice but to respond. You stopped pursuing, and that pause generated a force that pulled you back. You become one of the few people who doesn't have to look for what life has to give. The universe gives them to those who have become the opportunity itself. 9. Your standards become a kind of spiritual height. When you left on your own, something happened that most people will never know about. You didn't just change the way you do things or your habits. You changed the frequency of everything. Your standards stopped being about things like who you hang out with or what job you have. They started to be about energy, alignment, and honesty. You rose to a level that most people can only admire from afar because of every choice you made, every boundary you set, and every time you walked away from people or situations that didn't serve your higher purpose. Your standards become a type of spiritual loft. Most individuals lower themselves to feed into the environment around them. They sacrifice their ideals, accept mediocrity, and change their conduct to make others comfortable. You did the exact opposite. By going solo, you had no option but to face yourself and the life you were genuinely destined to live. You knew that if you wanted to ascend, you couldn't allow anything lower your frequency to exist in your orbit. Every time you said no to what didn't align, you were quietly climbing. The universe doesn't crown people who settle. It crowns people who refuse to settle, who rise above the noise and the distraction. This kind of elevation creates a magnetic, almost undeniable presence. People notice when someone refuses to tolerate what diminishes them, and they instinctively recognize authority in it. Your energy became a quiet ruler, setting standards not by force but by existence. Every person, every opportunity, and every situation around you is measured against that new frequency, and it can't help but respond. Spiritual altitude isn't just about being unbothered. It's about creating a life that cannot be contaminated by lower vibrations. It's about being aligned so completely with your purpose that compromise becomes impossible. That level of self-possession is rare, and it's exactly what commands recognition. By raising your standards, you didn't just protect yourself, you forced the universe to acknowledge the crown it had no choice but to place on you. You became untouchable not by might, but by elevation. Number 10. You learned how to be alone without being lonely. There's a difference between being alone and being lonely, and you mastered that difference in a way most people never will. Being alone is often seen as a punishment, a void, or a temporary state to endure until someone or something fills it. But you didn't just endure it, you thrived in it. You discovered that solitude is a teacher, a forge, and a mirror. You realized that the world doesn't need to validate you, and no one's presence is required to complete your existence. That realization changed everything. Most people run from themselves because being alone forces them to confront who they really are. They fear the silence, the reflection, the raw honesty. You, however, embraced it. You learned to sit with your thoughts, face your fears, and confront every part of yourself without flinching. In that process, you discovered a kind of freedom that others will spend a lifetime chasing. You became self-reliant in a way that radiates strength. People notice it instinctively. Even if they can't name it, they feel the energy of someone who is whole, independent, and untethered from neediness or external validation. This mastery of solitude also gave you clarity. You can distinguish what deserves your time, your energy, and your attention from what doesn't. You stop being distracted by superficial connections and fleeting approval. You developed a taste for substance, and the universe responded accordingly. Doors, opportunities, and people who align with your elevated frequency began to appear because you were no longer desperate to fill a void. Your emptiness had turned into a place of strength and possibility. And here's the ultimate outcome: when you are alone without being lonely, you become untouchable. You no longer depend on anyone for energy, motivation, or identity. Your presence alone commands respect, and your peace becomes a force field. The crown the universe placed on you isn't for what you did for others, it's for what you built within yourself. Solitude didn't isolate you, it elevated you. You became someone who can stand in silence and still dominate the room, the environment, and the energies around you. You became whole, and that wholeness is a throne no one can contest. Number 11. You didn't cut people off. Your frequency outpaced them. Most people think leaving someone behind is about conflict or cutting ties. They see it as a conscious decision to remove others from their lives. That didn't happen to you. You didn't cut people off. You grew beyond them. Your energy, vision, and discipline were stronger than the people and things around you. You didn't push anyone away. You simply grew to a level where their influence no longer applied. That subtle shift is far more powerful than any dramatic exit. When your frequency outpaces people, it changes the dynamics completely. People who used to influence you, drain you, or slow you down suddenly can't keep up. They notice your absence, not because you acted aggressively, but because your presence has become unattainable. You became someone whose growth no longer fits in old spaces or old conversations. Your path no longer aligns with the patterns and limitations they are comfortable with, and that alone creates separation. You didn't cause a rift. The evolution of your energy naturally created it. This kind of growth doesn't just affect relationships, it transforms the way the universe responds to you. When you move beyond low-level energy, the world rearranges itself around your new frequency. Opportunities, people, and circumstances that match your evolution begin to appear. The universe doesn't reward those who stay stagnant, it elevates those who raise their vibration, consciously or unconsciously, leaving behind what no longer serves their trajectory. And here's the subtle genius of it. People can't argue with growth. They can't complain about standards, ambition, or focus. Your evolution speaks louder than any words ever could. They may try to hold on to the past, but you've already left it behind. By simply outpacing them, you've established authority, independence, and a presence that commands recognition. You didn't force separation. You transcended the noise. You didn't cut anyone off. The world had to get used to you being a new frequency, and that adjustment is what earns the crown. The universe has no choice but to place on you. Your pain turned into a tool instead of a prison. Most people let pain define them. They carry it like a burden, a weight that keeps them small, reactive, and stuck. But you did something extraordinary. You turned every cut, every wound, every betrayal into fuel. Your pain didn't trap you. It sharpened you. Every scar, every setback, every moment that should have broken, you became a tool to build strength, clarity, and strategy. Instead of letting it chain you, you learned to wield it. And that is why you stand crowned today. When you went so low, the world assumed you were retreating, hiding, or recovering. But you were doing far more than that. You were mining your experiences for wisdom, extracting lessons from moments most people would ignore or bury. Every failure became a blueprint. Every heartbreak teaches you how to be strong. Every insult was a reminder of what you wouldn't put up with. You didn't just get through your problems. You turned them into steps that helped you get away from anyone who thought you were weak. Most people never learn how to use pain as a tool. It's not about getting back at someone, proving them wrong, or showing off. It's all about mastering yourself. You looked at yourself, your choices, and the world around you, and then you used what you learned it with care. You turned into a person who doesn't act out of fear or emotion. You answer with purpose and clarity. Your pain made you more patient, more focused, and better at making decisions. That change is very appealing. People can feel the energy of someone who has turned their pain into a plan. They feel the calm power that comes from someone who has been through the worst and come out stronger than before. The world and the universe had to recognize your ability to turn hard times into good ones. You didn't just feel pain. You used it in a new way. You didn't let it set your limits. You used it to change what you thought you could do. That's why the crown had to happen. Pain became your best teacher, your best weapon, and your strongest armor. And now, nothing can stop you from being who you are. Number 13. You became the type of person who can walk away from anything, even what you once wanted. Most people think that desire means going after what you want, holding onto it, and not letting go. But you learn it's something that not many people do. The ability to walk away is what gives you real power. You changed into someone who no longer judges success or happiness by what you have, but by what helps you grow and fulfill your purpose. You go from being a participant in life to being the author of it when you can let go without regret, fear, or hesitation. It's not weak to walk away. It's clear. It's knowing that not every chance, relationship, or situation is meant to last. You didn't just leave things behind because it was easier or you were angry. You grew beyond them. You knew that holding on to the wrong people, old goals, or situations that aren't right for you only drains your energy and slows down your progress. Your distance isn't about turning someone down. It's about going up. It's about knowing how much you're worth and not wasting time on things that don't help you. And this is the subtle genius of this power. When you can let go of what you used to want, you become untouchable. People try to control, convince, or push others because they feel close to them. You took away that weakness. You made your energy your own, your choices your own, and your presence impossible to ignore. When you let go of what doesn't work for you anymore, you tell the universe and everyone around you that your life is on a higher frequency. People have to recognize that level of authority, whether they like it or not. Your ability to let go also changes how opportunities work with you. People who don't beg, plead, or give in start to get what they want in life. When someone won't settle, doors open, paths change, and the universe bends to feed them. You didn't just get freedom, you made it happen. You turned into the person who doesn't need what you used to think you wanted. That level of independence, self-control, and clarity is what makes the universe choose you. Leaving isn't a loss. It's the best way to show that you are in charge. It's proof that nothing in life can keep you down and everything must come to you where you are. You mastered yourself, which is the highest rank a person can have. Most people think that power is based on influence or authority, and they spend their lives trying to control the world around them, including other people, situations, and outcomes. But you found out the truth. No one else can give someone the highest rank. You don't get it by being liked, having money, or being important. The highest rank comes from being able to control yourself. You learn it to speak your mind, control your actions, and stick to your values. That level of self-control isn't just amazing, it's impossible to touch when no one is watching. Mastering yourself means being consistent when everything is chaotic. It means being clear, and when every instinct tells you to take the easy path. It means being disciplined. It's about knowing what you're feeling instead of letting them control you. It's about knowing what you're not good at without letting it define you, and about how to shape your own future, even when things outside of your control are pushing you hard. While the world was focused on victories outside of itself, you were winning wars inside of yourself that no one else could see. This level of mastery makes it impossible to challenge them. People can feel it right away. The calm confidence, the unshakable focus, and the decisions made with care instead of panic. You don't react, you answer. You don't follow trends, you make your own rules. People will respect, influence, and give you chances because they know that you don't need other people's approval or circumstances to feel good about yourself. This kind of power is something that the universe knows about. It rewards those who control their inner world, because people who master themselves can have a huge effect. You became sovereign in a way that nothing outside of you can change by mastering yourself. You set the pace, the rules, and the energy, and the world has to get used to your frequency. You didn't just get through life, you won the most important battle, the one against yourself. And that's why you are crowned. The highest authority is being in control of yourself. The throne that no one else can take. Money, power, and fame are all secondary. You are the highest rank because you control the one kingdom that no one else can touch, your own mind, spirit, and future. Most people will never understand the journey you've been on, the loneliness, the fights, the elevation, the pain, and the growth along the way have all made you into someone the universe can't ignore. You didn't just go it alone. You rewired your brain, raised your frequency, and made a version of yourself that people notice without you having to ask. Every time you faced a challenge, set a limit, or walked away from something that wasn't helping you, you showed that you are not like everyone else. You've become strong, independent, and free in ways that most people will spend their whole lives trying to copy. You didn't get the crown as a gift or by chance. There was no way around it. The universe saw the rare combination of skill, discipline, and vision that only comes out when someone survives the hidden wars, faces the silence, and won't give in to anything that doesn't match their truth. Every point we've talked about self-control, independence, turning pain into power, Rising above mediocrity tells the same story. You ended alone, and that made you unstoppable. You didn't just take your life, you became the model that everyone else looks up to. This is more than just a moment, it's a statement. You are living proof that the world has to respond when someone masters themselves. The crown is not a symbol, it's a sign of how strong you've become, how much power you have without being seen, and the legacy you're building every day by not settling, not compromising, and not being anyone but yourself. So keep this truth in mind. Know that you are in charge of your own life, respect your growth, and go through life knowing that the universe doesn't respond to noise or demand, but to mastery, clarity, and constant self-improvement. Your story, your presence, and your energy are all real, and they will keep changing everything and everyone around you. If this message speaks to you, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you can keep getting content that lifts your mind and spirit. If this video hit you hard, give it a thumbs up. Please leave a comment below to tell us about your experiences and share this with anyone who needs to see what it really means to rise above. Take the crown you were always meant to wear and go it alone. The trip isn't over yet. It just gets stronger. May God bless you.